Shalom. Shalom. I want to start off by giving all praises to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakakadash, giving double honor to the apostle of this great millstone, peace and blessings, to much pushing his truth and sincerity and Kwam, Yasharala. So, brother, the apostle Dash, coming at you, giving another lesson. All right. This time, talking about these false teachers, because I was thinking about it. As we come down to these last days, you know, it's going to be revealed who was a false teacher, who was a real teacher. I'm thinking about Ezekiel 33 and 33. Then they shall know a prophet was among you. Because the things about a prophet is to be a prophet means to speak before. Okay, to prophesy means to speak before, meaning I'm gonna tell you the future before it happened. All right, you got a lot of people claiming to be prophets right now. They're not even prophesying. All right, you got the apostles of Great Millstone, who are elders and are apostles. All right. You know, when you watch their videos, yeah, you might have one or two they speaking on current events, but even those current events, they tie them in to how they deal with prophecy. Why do you think Apostle Hart said we're gonna keep talking about the chip? All right. Why do you think they going over these revelation breakdowns? Why do you think they always, even if they speak on a modern day thing, is always tied into prophecy? All right, and yeah, they might do an exhortation video, and they might do a video on etiquette and how brothers should be moving, but majority of the time, it's prophecy. All right, and that's the thing. That's how we know who's really prophesying, because a lot of people call themselves prophets, but they don't prophesy. How can you be a prophet if all you do is cuss Edomites out? All you do is get in a fight at camp. All you do is sell T-shirt garments and everything is just a money scheme. You're not a real prophet, all right? And we gotta watch out for guys like that. You know, they bring no benefit to the quote unquote Hebrew community. They false shepherds leading the people astray. All right. Second Peter chapter 2 verse 1. But there were false prophets among the people, even as there shall be false teachers among you. All right, so the scriptures told us what it was going to be. All right, we knew beforehand. We knew when you come to this thing, you know it's going to be false teachers. That's why you got fallouts, but mainly more so speaking on these people that they've been a good example is what's his name, Alazar, if he even go by that anymore. All right, he told Apostle Tahar to retire, and now look where he at. He retired. He don't prophesy no more. Now that he got caught for heinous activities, and now that his congregation left him, he don't even teach no more. This man got 7 YouTube channels and don't use, or he at least don't use the one that was used for the truth. You know, he said he don't even claim to be a Hebrew Israelite no more. But yet you was telling the apostles to retire. Yet you was taught from GMS, and to my knowledge, and even on top of that, he been teaching for at least going on 10 years, maybe longer than that. Years, long time. Now, but it shows he was a false teacher, a false prophet the whole time. All right, but he a perfect example. It says, "Who privately shall bring in damnable heresies." Let's look up the word heresies. Dissension, belief or opinion contrary to orthodox religious, especially Christian doctrine, which we don't use Christian doctrine, but if you gotta spit out the bones and see what it's saying. So anybody bringing up any false doctrine or anything contrary to what the scriptures say, the real true breakdown, you a damnable heresy. You bringing in heresies. All right. Here it is. The scriptures say they say X, Y, and Z, but you put a spin on it. Well, you don't got to do X, Y, and Z. Just how IUIC, they'll say that the new moon is the full moon. They keep the Sabbath on the full moon rotation. When nowhere else ever do you see anybody doing that. No one keeps the full moon. You know, this guy's just making stuff up. That's a damnable heresy. All right. It says, and denying the Lord that bought them. Oh, so here we go. They gonna end up. What they gonna do? They gonna turn their back on the Lord. When it comes time to confess, I guarantee you they gonna say, "I was never an Israelite. I never really believed in that. This X, Y, and Z, or when it comes time to like the grape doctrine. When it's time to defend that, our elders and apostles doing videos on it, and they put all opinions to the side and said the truth is the truth. Where was the other leaders at? They didn't even do, a lot of them didn't even do a response videos. Why? Because it was the truth and they couldn't put a spin on it. So here it is. You forsake, and that's the thing about forsaking the Lord, because you got to be 100% with His doctrine. You can't get all flimsy and weak at one part of the doctrine. You got to be with it 100% or not. Otherwise, you denying the Lord right there. All right, the Lord, Yahweh Shah said He come in the volume of the book. It says, and bring upon themselves swift destruction. Hey, so we're gonna let false teachers be false teachers because they destroying themselves. We ain't gotta do nothing to them. Not even, no one was even thinking about doing nothing to them. But all I'm saying is we ain't gotta go according to the law and stone them. They gonna get their just destruction, they just reward. It says, and many shall follow their pernicious ways. Let's look up the word pernicious. That's what it was. All right. It says harmful, having a harmful effect. Why? Because y'all leading a flock to a slaughter. It says, by reason of whom the way of truth shall be evil spoken of. You're gonna treat the truth like it's evil. Again, the great doctrine. Look at the multiple wife doctrine. IUIC don't even let their members. You gotta marry them, or you gotta. And they even got a doctrine where if your spouse don't believe within 3 months or something, you gotta let them go. Well, the scriptures in 1 Corinthians, I think it's the 7th chapter, it talk about the unbelieving wife. It talk about the unbelieving husband. You're not supposed to leave your spouses if they don't believe. I can see if they scoffing. I can see if they being a hindrance to your beliefs, but just because they don't believe is not a reason to leave them. All right. All right. It says, actually, that was it for that. What I wanted. I could grab that. I'm gonna keep going. It says, Matthew chapter 7 verse 15. Beware of false prophets, which come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are raving wolves. Yeah, these niggas, they come to you, they in the spirit, like John 8:44. Ye are of your father the devil, and of his lust ye shall do. Y'all got the same spirit as Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. That's how the so-called white man do. He comes to you with a hand, like the scriptures say, he spoke his words were smooth as butter, but war was in his heart. All right, that's how Edom might act, and you niggas have taken y'all have taken the role of Esau Jr. These false prophets, you got motherfucking IUIC. I don't even like to speak on them, but they are under a 501c3 charter, and they classify themselves as Muslims under the government, to get benefits from the government and things like that. Scripture say, use the word, don't abuse it. Okay, but there's a limit to that. You guys out here claiming to be you basically under contract y'all are Muslims. On paperwork y'all are Muslims. All right? Y'all monetize y'all videos, y'all do all type of things, but it wasn't that long ago, and I was around long enough to remember a time period where it was a thing that popped up on YouTube where this lady came, she reported how they were going to do this false miracle on New Year's Eve and say somebody was able to walk again, and then she died. I didn't forget about that. I didn't forget about that situation. That's a raving wolf right there. People, hey, somebody, I'm not going to bear false witness, but hey, allegedly somebody has been put down for trying to, for spilling the truth around that way. All right? Even look at the time when IUIC and ISUPK got into it, they pulling up on each other buildings. Or it was ISUPK that pulled up on IUIC buildings. But it was a whole sticky situation, but true colors were shown. All of those peace gatherings and all of those unity camps, where did all that go? All right? Where did all that go? First Timothy chapter 4, yep, verse 1. Come on, phone, load up. It say, now, Slakia. 1 Timothy chapter 4, verse 1. Now the Spirit speaketh expressively that in the latter times some shall depart from the faith. So right there you got something called a fallout. A person who once was a brother, who was never really a brother, who the Lord, he just was never a part of this thing. Whether we want to word it as he gave up or the Lord took the spirit, because really the Lord took the spirit from him, right? He really wasn't a part of this thing. And it's if you've been around long enough, you've seen it happen. Someone they just were not a part of this. Whether sometimes it's signs of, yeah, he been a nigga, we can say those things, but you know, it's some people out here who didn't have no signs and they just fell off one day. All right, so it is what it is. We know from this point that it's gonna be fallaways, giving heed to seducing spirits and doctrines of devils. They go from believing this to being a Muslim. They go from being this to back to Christianity. They go from doing this to whatever they want to believe in, but they no longer a part of this. It say speaking lies and hypocrisy. Things they once taught, they no longer teach. Things they once said was evil, now they a part of. That makes them a hypocrite. They was just telling people don't do X, Y, and Z. Now you back in the world eating pepperoni pizza with a cigar in your mouth. Having their conscience seared with a hot iron, and they burnt inside. They cut. All right, it's over with for them. This is Jude 4. This is Jude chapter. Oh, that's why I'm tripping. Just Jude. It's only one chapter. It's Jude chapter 1 verse 4. For there are certain men crept in unaware, who were before of old ordained to this condemnation. So first and foremost, right there, we know it's men that's crept in unaware. Look at Judas. Fuck, not Maccabees. Judas Iscariot. He was a high-ranking member, one of the top 12 men on the earth at one point in time. And look how he fell off. All right, look how he fell off. So even you got, I just seen a video that say even camp heads can fall out. There's a camp head, I believe, just recently fell out the truth. Hey, you got some members, high-ranking men, people that you wouldn't think. It's not even that they're high-ranking, just people that you wouldn't think they done made their way in. Go look at the movie Judas and the Black Messiah. They talk about how the one dude infiltrated the Black Panther Party, and we don't promote them, but he infiltrated the Black Panther Party, and he was really a part of it for years. But the whole time he was an informant from the beginning, sent from the FBI. He was a fucking criminal who cut a deal with the FBI to infiltrate the Black Panther movement and to help get information on it, and he led to the death of Fred Hampton. All right, the leader of it all. So the same thing in this time period is people that's they really not they we got something called an agent. That's what they really are, an agent. You a snake for Esau Edom. That's all you are. All right. Well, I hope this was edifying. I want to give all praises to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham Rakakadash, giving double honor to the apostle of the great millstone, peace and blessings. The best Christian is truth, sincerity, and Kwam Yasharala.